Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, of course, we got to do the Boston Celtics off-season priorities. And my dad went to school out in Boston at Bentley. It was back in the day, it's called Bentley College. Now I believe it's called Bentley University. And he's a huge Celtics fan. So shout out to them. Banner 18. They went 64-18. They have the 30th pick and the 54th. So one first-round pick and one second-round pick. Xavier Tillman, Luke Kennard, and Svi Mikhailu are their only unrestricted free agents. O'Shea Brissett has a player option. Sam Hauser has a team option. So does Neemias Hieta. Drew Peterson and J.D. Davison are both restricted free agents. I think they're going to try to keep Xavier Tillman if they can, but they're an NBA champion. This team is built for success, and what they need to prioritize, in my opinion, is making sure they have all the tools to continue this success, to continue to try to win a championship. And what does that look like if I had to contextualize it for you guys? Well, I think with the 30th pick, if they can target a Dylan Jones or a Jalen Tyson, I think would be huge. One of those kind of utilitarian Swiss Army knife-esque players who are going to help do a little bit of everything and can play multiple positions. Like last year, the example would have been Andre Jackson. And with Andre Jackson obviously going to the Bucks, we saw that he didn't play a huge role for them, but he played a small role, and finding players like that would be, I think, huge. So Dylan Jones, Jalen Tyson, I think there's a plethora of names that could interest you. So for me, I think it's definitely, when you look at this situation, I think it's going to be rather telling when we see, all right, X, Y, and Z are going to be guys who can help the Celtics win games now. So I think finding maybe a big man in the second round and then getting a wing player who can play multiple positions and be their Josh Hart, it would be huge. Now, obviously, signing Jason Tatum to a max and Derek White getting that 4-year, $126 million extension is huge. But because they're a championship team, they have one caveat that works in their favor better than others. That 1-year financial window before salaries increases, the Celtics will have 2 players on max contracts and possibly a new contract for Derek White. So they're going to have a lot of salaries committed, and they're going to have to go looking for guys who are glory chasing or guys who are looking for, who are willing to take a 1-year deal discounted to play for the Boston Celtics. It doesn't hurt that you are the Boston Celtics, because who wouldn't want to play for the Boston Celtics, one of, if not the most storied franchise in NBA history. So going out and finding those vets would be huge. I think finding another guard, nothing against Payne Pritchard, but finding kind of like a guard who can be a scoring punch for them looks like, in my eyes, it could be really, 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 really huge for them. I mean, like, oh fuck, I have no idea how I would want to explain how important it would be, but the dream obviously would be like a Malik Monk, but that's not going to happen because they can't afford that, and there aren't really players like that available. Maybe a Lonnie Walker, but I feel like Lonnie Walker is deserving of pay. Lonnie Walker and Dennis Smith Jr. are both types of guys that I would try to bring in. And also, they might decline Sam Hauser's team option because then it makes him a restricted free agent, similar to what the Pelicans did last offseason with Herb Jones. Instead of them letting them become just letting their contract expire, what you do is you decline their team option, and this way, when they go into free agency this year, they're a restricted free agent, unlike if they waited till unrestricted restricted free agency, where there was a chance that they could could maybe lose him, I think is part of the whole thing, because if you go ahead and take him into restricted free agency now, you can pay him cheaper and long term than it would be risking it down the road when he might be a bit more expensive, as he'll have a few more years of experience under his belt. So the 30th pick, I think, is important for them because, as I've said, Boston gets to add a cost control rookie. So they're able to go out and get that utilitarian wing instead of trying to go and get somebody in free agency and hope that they can find a bargain bin signing. You go out and you find yourself a guy like a Jalen Tyson, like a Dylan Jones. I want to say, who else could be thrown in there? Terrence Shannon, a Baylor Shireman. I think all those guys could come in and help give the Celtics a player, because it makes sense for them to target a more NBA-ready prospect, ideally someone who can provide immediate depth behind their expensive players. And I feel comfortable with the bench options they have for next season, and they could also instead opt to trade those picks for a veteran. But as I've said, what they're going to have to do is Peyton Pritchard and Jordan Walsh are two guys who are going to have to develop. Hopefully they bring back Neemias Queta, I think, is the replacement for Luke Cornett. So they're going to have to bring, and hopefully they bring back Xavier Tillman. If they don't bring back Xavier Tillman, you need a third big, which is basically your Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford insurance, which you had this year, which is ready to play front court depth. A backup point guard, I've said it all video. If they can find one, go out and get one. I just don't know if there's anyone really. Chris Dunn would be cool, and that kind of would be a homecoming because he went to college in Providence. So I think Chris Dunn would be huge for them. Dennis Smith Jr. I think bringing in a guy like Lonnie Walker. The Nets have had a lot of guys that I really like. And then depth on the wings. I really think you can get away with that with a pick in this year's draft from, I've said the names already throughout this video. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. If you're a fan of I almost said Dallas Mavericks, but the Boston Celtics, what would you do and why? I definitely think it's a very, very, very important offseason, as they can build. This team can go back to back easily. They're the best team in the league. It's ridiculous. Barring injuries, they're on pace to be one of, if not the greatest team of the decade so far.